Hi, and welcome to the Love Learns podcast. My name is Dionne Zara, just your average girl wishing to learn more about love and relationships. As a young girl, I always dreamt about my wedding day, and to be fair, I still do sometimes. With many couples around me, I quickly came to realize love isn't as straightforward as the movies make out. So I thought I would have conversations with couples who made it past happily ever after to learn more about love. And when I say love, I don't mean like the movies and fairy tales, but I mean LOVE, learning to be open, vulnerable, and empathetic. So if you're ready to learn, unlearn, and discover love through couples, you're in the right place. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Love Learns. We're back again with Ya, and we're going to be talking about black and white thinking, guys. Black and white thinking is just having an idea of right and wrong. And as you can imagine, there's been so many instances in relationships where I'm right, you're wrong. Not just in friendships, but also in relationships, workplace, in loads of different relationships. You can definitely see how someone can be right and someone can be wrong. Have you ever experienced, maybe in the workplace, in a relationship or friendship, where you thought you were right and you thought the other person was wrong?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. And I'm just trying to think of an example of where all the time. And it's actually, I will tell you of an example of where it wasn't me that thought, it was me watching somebody else do it.
Okay.
So what happened was, there was so at work, what happened was somebody had submitted a document,
Mm-hmm.
and the document that they had submitted was incorrect. And I had to then forward the document on to somebody else for it to be verified. And so reviewed and verified. And so the person who was reviewing it came back and said, the document is all over the place. Basically, I've sent it back to them for them to do what they need to do before I will review it. I said, okay. It turns out, if I remember correctly, it conspires that what happened was the document that was sent back, that was returned to the person, the original sender, was the wrong document.
Okay.
So then I kind of intervene and I kind of say, because he's like, this is all wrong, this is all over the place. And I'm just like, okay, let me give him a call, because what I've realized is best to call people sometimes rather than doing it via email, because lots can get lost in translation.
Yeah.
So then I call and he's like, yeah, the document that you sent was wrong. It's not the document I sent you, the original document I sent you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go in, find the document, send it to him, and then I go back to the person who sent it to the original sender, and I say, oh, you sent the wrong document. And so they were reviewing the wrong document back, and they were like, well, that piece of trash that they sent me in the first place, they shouldn't have even sent it to me. And it was just being very well aware that that person was wrong, but because they felt right and justified in that, they weren't willing to admit that they were wrong to send that person the wrong document. Because all I had to say was, yeah, oh, did I send them the wrong document? What they sent me wasn't great, but they sent me the wrong document. But no, they felt they needed to stay justified in the fact that the original document they sent was so bad anyway that, how dare they send it to them? And I just stayed quiet, because everybody knew what it was in that situation. Or maybe they didn't, I don't know. But yeah, so that's an example of where people feel that they need to be right, and how it can just lead to such detrimental results. And I think in that situation, the only reason why it didn't was because I was kind of the person in the middle who didn't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah.
And so I could kind of see things a little bit more clearly than either of my colleagues, actually. Well, to be fair, the original sender wasn't actually that bad. They accepted that what they sent wasn't great. But the reviewer was like, no, this person's wrong. It's like, okay, but you are too.
Yeah. And it doesn't leave any room for mistakes.
No, it doesn't.
Or even, how can we do this better next time so we don't have this issue? There's no real room for confrontation, because I can imagine if the original sender had decided, oh, actually, maybe I'm never going to send anything to this reviewer, or I'm going to check this like 50 times before. That's one, putting a strain on everyone on the team, because maybe he's going to take longer to do it, and then closer to the deadline, things just don't get done properly, like don't get done in a speedy time, and everyone else is suffering. Or it could just be, well, maybe I'm not good enough and I'll just leave the job, and then it's like the company's job to find someone else to replace him. So there's always things to kind of consider in the bigger picture, rather than just that instance, because I think sometimes we get so focused on that little thing that's wrong, instead of just looking at it and say, okay, how can we make sure this doesn't happen again? Thanks for sending it to me again. And just leaving room for him to feel comfortable that he's human. Because it sounded like, oh, you're wrong, I'm right. So like, there's no room. Just don't be wrong next time. You're a wrong person. But sometimes it can attack someone's confidence. It can attack someone's self-esteem, where they think, oh, maybe I am wrong and I can't do things the way I thought I could do things, so I'm not going to do things anyway. So I'm like even picturing this in a marriage or something, where it's someone's cooked a meal or something, and the other partner's like, that was a crap meal. And no room for like some feedback, some critical feedback for her to change it up or something. So just decides, okay, we can just take out from now on, because I'm not going to cook for you anymore.
Yeah.
That would be two people in both black and white thinking, if I can't cook, I'm not a good cook, so I'm not going to cook anymore. And another person saying, well, she's not good at cooking, so we're going to just buy a takeout now. So both of them are just polar opposites, without finding any sort of compromise in between the two, or even helping, like, okay, maybe I can cook this day, you can cook this day, and then maybe you can cook together and like try new meals together, or maybe do a recipe together. But there's no creativity in that. There's no space for people to grow. So I was thinking, is there anything that you think people could do when they start to spot black and white thinking in a partner?
I think that's what you just said there is key. Black and white thinking in a partner. Forget about the partner. What are you doing to create your own black and white thinking? Because because like they said, when there's one finger pointing that way, there's three pointing back at you.
Yeah.
So it's that thing of where, so that in itself is black and white thinking. When you say, well, this person is doing this, this, and this, and this wrong. It's not that. It's more of a, let's work together to, because it is a team effort.
Yeah.
Anybody in, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a work relationship, whether it's a family relationship, doesn't matter what it is. It's always looking at how we can work together. It's a team.
Yeah.
So how can we work together as a team so that we can create something that works for everybody in this situation? Not just you, not just me, but everybody in this situation. Because if you think about it at a family level, if you are husband and wife, then you want to do what's best for your family. If you've got children, you want to do what's best for you, your partner, and your children. So, it's looking at that as an overview. And I think what happens is, especially in relationships, is where our fears come and meet us at the very door of the relationship. And when I say that, I mean in particular romantic relationships. So it's learning to work through that fear and understanding the same way I'm scared, my partner's scared too. So how can we work together to create an environment that works for both of us, where we don't feel as scared, we don't feel like we're going to be judged for or get things wrong. We actually feel like, I can say this, and they can come from a place of understanding where they get it, and we can work together to make things better for the both of us. So it's not you're right, I'm wrong. It's not I'm in these areas, you could do better. It's like, okay, how can we support each other so that we can both do the best that we can for each other and also for ourselves?
Yeah. And it is true, like the teamwork is so important in that instance, because even if there's a problem, and sometimes this problem isn't even between you and your partner, it's external things that are happening that you just have no control over. And you're trying to work if you're working together, that's so much easier for you to both see some sort of conclusion, because two brains are better than one. But if it's just, okay, I need to fix this because I have more knowledge about this than my partner does, there's almost a sense of, okay, I can do this by myself without a partnership kind of being not tested, but a partnership being like developed in that sense, because you're not developing together, you're developing on your own without your partner. And there are some instances where you have to do it by yourself, but there's sometimes having that partner do those things for you kind of help you. And when you said about like fear at being at your door, sometimes it is scary. It is scary for you to think, oh, okay, I'm gonna reach out to this person to help me, even though I know if I do it this way, it'll be fine. But that vulnerability within the relationship also builds that relationship, because now you are figuring out things together, which is building a lot more hormones and a lot more testosterone, a lot more dopamine within the relationships for you guys to feel bonding. But I think a lot of people forget that doing little things like that can even increase bonding between the partners, and tend to just try and do things by themselves because, one, it will get done quicker, or I know how to do it, or just not giving room for that growth and that evolving part of relationships to evolve. So it is one of those things where I see it quite a lot in relationships, and I see it in, like, especially in TV shows when I'm watching like these Love is Blind or stuff like that, and you're just like, what is going on? Like, from an outside perspective, I see where you're coming from, I see where you're coming from. How have you guys not figured out that you can see it from different points of views, and you're both right in some sense, but if you work together, you probably get there a lot faster than trying to prove your point so hard that you forget to listen to someone else. And a lot of the time it is just miscommunication of people not talking and to listen, but they're talking to just talk for the sake of talking their point, rather than listening to someone else's point and trying to find a solution between the two of them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And even when you said Love is Blind, what I understood from that, no, actually what I meant to say is, yes, I totally agree. And what I also understand from that, thinking about Love is Blind, for example, if we think about the beginning of a relationship, it's that thing of where you're excited and also scared at the same time. You're excited because, oh my God, this new wonderful thing feels so good. Like you said, that all the endorphins are released. Is it endorphins or dopamine?
Endorphins and dopamine. In the beginning, it's all a mix of hormones.
Yeah, exactly. So all of that's being released, and then, but then on the flip side of that is that vulnerability creates a lot of fear, like what they're going to think of me, and all of this kind of stuff. So from what we know is that when our body feels excitement and fear, our body interprets it the same way. So the same way you feel fear is the same way you feel is the same way you feel excitement. So when you're further down the line, it can become this intensified thing of where, am I actually experiencing fear or excitement here? And if it's where you have to be vulnerable, you're going to definitely lean more towards fear, because you're leaning more towards fear, that then makes it hard for you to really be open to this person and be vulnerable to this person. Whereas if you look at it like, okay, you know, what are the pluses from this? You know, if I allowed myself to feel not necessarily excited, but just to kind of feel the joy of being with this person. Okay, I'm scared to be vulnerable, but actually if I tap into the other side of this fear, I get to be excited to share myself fully with this person. And as I share myself fully with this person, they get to know more about me. And what I found is that when people really care about you, what that does for them, your mind is blown about what that does for them when they feel excited, when they care about you, because they're just like, oh my God, this person is opening up and they're sharing with me, and especially men, they love it. They love, oh, you need me, babes. So it's that kind of thing. But when you don't know that, or when you're in the moment of it and you're allowing the fear to take over, you put yourself in a position where, I know I've certainly done it, put myself in a position where I become invulnerable. And so they can't, it becomes a wall that person then can't penetrate. And I'm on the other side of it feeling even more lonely and even more scared. Whereas if I just was to open myself up to that, even a little bit, because when you're scared like that and you have to be vulnerable, it's not like you're going to have diarrhea of the mouth and want to say it all, but you just say a little bit, and the little bit that you do say, it's almost like I can trust you with that. And because I can trust you with that, I can now give you a little piece more, and I can trust you with that, and I can give you a little piece more. But I think because in the beginning, things are just like go, 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 go. And when it gets to that point and things start slowing down, and we forget that we actually can piecemeal it at that point. Yeah. We don't have to give everything all at once. And so because we don't feel that we can give everything all at once, we then tend to give nothing, which then has a detrimental effect and almost can become destructive and to the relationship.
Yeah, 100%. And I've seen it so many times where it's like, if you just opened up about one piece, it doesn't have to be the whole thing. It's just one piece. And a lot of the time you open up with that one piece, the person inquires a little bit more. You see that the person is interested in where you're coming from and is open to hear what you're saying. It does open up. And then sometimes you give that one piece and that person says, oh, you're overthinking things, or gaslights you, or does something, you can't open up to that person. And it's either you find someone else that can help you in that situation, or you reach out to other people in your system. Because I think sometimes we think, oh, this person will have the answer because this is the closest person to me. So they can help me with this. But sometimes they don't have the resources either. So you'd have to find someone who does have the resources. So it's great to have mentors, great to have therapists, great to have coaches, all these people around you, and even friends who've been in similar situations, just to kind of feed back to them, okay, this is what I'm going through a little bit. Have you ever had this kind of situation? Or you don't even have to tell them it's you. You could even just say, oh, I have a friend who's going through this, this, and this. We all have had one of those moments where it's like, do you know what? I don't want to be completely vulnerable. So let me just hypothetical it and just say that it's a friend who's going through it, and then see what people say. And it gives you insight to other people's perspectives and helps you to grow with it. And in that, if you are in a romantic relationship and you don't feel like you can have those conversations with that person, maybe it's not the right relationship, or maybe that person just doesn't have the capacity to do that. So you find other ways, but you need to know what your threshold is within that relationship as well. Because I think sometimes we think, oh, okay, I can get it from someone else, can get something else. But if you're getting everything from someone else, why are you in that relationship kind of thing? So it's trying to figure out where the balance is, where you do need other people's support, and where you do need your own support, and when you need your partner's support. And I think we've kind of created this bubble that relationships are kind of like my everything, my world. But sometimes you do need to step out of that world and reach out to other people to enrich your own world kind of thing, and give it more perspective.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's really important that, so even when you spoke about overthinking, I know that I can overthink sometimes. And so it really is important to and I've been told this, that I overthink sometimes. And, but it's important to recognize when it is the difference between when somebody is telling you you're overthinking it, because you are, and when they're trying to gaslight you. And it's, and so when you have a network of people, and you can go to, because I know I certainly done it, where you go to 4 or 5 different people with the same issue, the same problem, and they give you advice based on, what their perspective of the situation is. And if the response is I'm overthinking it, then I know, okay, this is not just the thoughts of the person I'm in a relationship with. And that's why think what you're saying is so great. Like, it really, 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 really is important to have a support network, because you don't. It's like you said. My mum calls it me and my wife. And when you do, when you do that, you're it's just you and the other person. It's almost like the two of you against the world, which can end up being quite detrimental and destructive to the relationship, because it can just suck everybody's energy in the relationship. Whereas when you go outside, it's not everything that you need to. And I think this is what's really, really true here is that it's not everything that you have to tell your partner. It's not everything that you need to be saying. It's not everything that you need to be saying. And it takes a little while to work out what you can and can't, what works and what doesn't work, like what you can and can't say to your particular partner, because every partner is different. But it's not everything that you need to say. And for a lot of people, it's like, well, if I can't say it, then it means that, my relationship is not the kind of relationship it should be. No, it just means that the person that you're with is the person you're with, and this is the kind of relationship the two of you have. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is. It's going back to that whole idea of black and white thinking.
Yeah.
It's not bad if your relationship doesn't look like everybody else's, because what does everybody else's look like? Everybody else's is very individual to the people that are in the relationship, because you are both individuals coming together in this relationship. And so it's really, really, really important to work out what works for you. What works for us in this relationship. So like I said, start with, okay, what works for me, and as a result of what works for me, then what works for us, and then building on that and creating that, and understanding that your network doesn't just consist of just you and your partner. It consists of you, your partner, and everybody else you decide to put in. That's family, that's colleagues, that's friends, that's whoever you feel that needs to be a part of your network to make your network flourish. So it's not just one person's resources that are being depleted. You now can rely on maybe, tens, hundreds of people to then use their resources. And then it doesn't, if you take 1% from somebody, they don't really feel it. If you take 10, 20, 30% from somebody, they feel it.
Yeah, it's true, very true. And with that, we're going to end the episode. But thank you so much, Yar, for your insights. And guys, if you have ever experienced black and white thinking in a relationship, if you could just leave it in the comments, like, let's all help each other out with these kinds of things. What things have you been through? What things do you feel like you can help someone? And if you've seen a comment in the comments which you can kind of advise, maybe share your comments and help, and maybe we can continue to build this community, so that we do build communities and other aspects for people to have place to just be and experience life together, so that we can understand a little bit more about life. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.